Well, hello and welcome back to the most interesting, entertaining, quizzical tarot reading on the internet and anyplace else. That is the Tao Manifesting Tarot. This is the tarot reading that is literally a metaphysical experience. Tarot, do not confuse this, tarot is our final destination. But in the 20 years that I have done tarot, I have found personally, really doesn't predict anything. What it does, however, is have a science about it. And the science is the science of potential, your potential to manifest. Critically think about you, your life, your future, and make pictures in your head, not from a laptop or desktop or any kind of AI or smartphone or anything. Don't ask Alexa. Don't talk to GPT. I mean, yeah, there may be some little informational type stuff or something that they can do, but don't depend on them as a source. Depend on you. You see, I've discovered over the 20 years doing tarot that the energy has to begin within you. The pictures have to begin within you. The images have to be within you and then go out into the world, not the other way around. And if you're looking at the computer screens, whether they're big or small, or you're listening to some robotic voice give you this quote unquote wisdom, it's coming from the outside going in. Bad juju, bad juju. You want to take your life experience as a human being and then translate that into pictures, images, sounds, sights that suit you, your purpose, hopefully your spiritual destiny. That may take a bit of a journey. So, when it comes to doing the tarot part, the science of potential, I don't do fantasy, don't do rainbows, don't do unicorns, don't do some woo woo kind of crap that seems to permeate the internet readers. What they're really doing is they don't really give a damn about you. What they're doing is trying to figure out, do I say something that these people like? If I say something they like, they're going to like me. That's really what it boils down to. With what I do here on the Tao Manifesting Tarot is let's go for reality. Yes, we all live in a matrix. There are different parts to it, there are different adaptations of it for everyone, but we live where we live. And this idea of, well, the matrix, I can't. You're acting the fool. You begin from where you are. You build from where you are. You don't use it as an excuse. Everybody lives in a matrix, not just the one that the deep state has constructed for us, which, by the way, we buy into, but we also construct a matrix based on that for ourselves. And usually, all of those matrices, easy for me to say, all those matrices limit us, imprison us. But we're comfortable with the idea of being slaves and prisoners, so we really don't bitch too much. However, you're beginning to see around the world people rising up, saying enough is enough. That's very, very encouraging. So, the Tau frequency we are going after is the kryptonite for human beings because you direct your life. So that's the tarot part. Now, what I do additionally, and I've done these two things for over 50 years. Every time I say it, I can't believe I'm saying I got to pinch myself. For 50 years, I've done numerology, astrology. These are the science of cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. And I bring the astrology up because it will give me some insight that I may not otherwise get about the energy, because life is energy. Tesla made that absolutely clear. But other people have supported the idea life is frequency, life is energy. So, we do the astrology, numerology, we look for these energetic cycles. Like, for example, the planet Uranus, which is the planet of revolution, began a cycle immediately after World War II. it will come to fruition. It will wrap up, in other words, be in the same place it was right after World War II in the year 2030. And if you paid attention to people who make these predictions about the future, they say 2027 to 2030, watch out. I wonder what that means. For the deep state, it means that people are taking back their humanity. For us, it means they're taking away our humanity. But that's where we're at. And you can see it right now when you look around the world. That's really the battle. We are stuck between two worlds, freedom or slavery. And it's our choice. It's our choice. Can't stress that enough. And that's why the tarot part, the signs of potential, is so important. I want you to find that kryptonite, manifest better. So for today's Tao Manifesting Tarot reading, it's what's next. It's decision time. And I mean like right now. In fact, actually, you could say that we're really past prime time in that regard. We are stuck between two worlds, but it is our choice. In fact, Hopi prophecy, many Navajo prophecies, indigenous people around the world said, in the end, it will be our choice, just like it was in the Garden of Eden. Eat the apple, don't eat the apple. Eat the apple, don't eat the apple. Well, guess what? So it is still our choice. The lesson is still ours to learn. So the question now for the Tao Manifesting Tarot reading today is what's next? Decision time. You're stuck between two worlds. Where you're going to go next is up to you. That's why the Manifesting Tarot is so very, very, very important. So we're going to get down to the business at hand. Promise, promise, promise. But before we get too much involved here, I want to just quickly remind you that I do have an email. You can contact me. People have been taking advantage. Tao-tarot@proton.me, Tao-tarot@proton.me. I decided to get away from Yahoo and Gmail and all that stuff. Try to separate myself from the behemoth we call technology and move someplace else. And by the way, the .me is not narcissistic. It's that Proton gives new subscribers apparently two choices, com.com if you're a business, or .me. Well, it concluded that what I do is .me worth. So again, the email is tao-tarot@proton.me. Write me anything, good, bad, favorable, unfavorable. Tell me to shove it up my keister. Doesn't make any difference. Communication, that's the key. All right, so let's get to the reading now. We begin with something I call astrologic. As I said, it had to do with astrology because I want to set the tone. I've been following, started about two and a half months ago, right around the 4th of July. I began to use astrology to take a look at American history, and I discovered, and I'm going to oversimplify here, but from 1492 on, the banks, the European Jew bankers, tried to take control of the colonies, the New World. They didn't care what it cost in lives because it wasn't going to be their lives. Didn't care what it cost in money because it was going to be your money that they're going to use. But that was the battle. Can we own and operate the New World? We got England. We owned their bank, Bank of England. Yeah, that's the Rothschilds and the other Jewish bankers. But they wanted more. And so from the very beginning, the bankers tried to grab hold of the United States, weren't able to do it until they set up the Federal Reserve finally in 1913. They had to kill 6 multi-millionaires, put them on the Titanic, and then sink the Titanic to get it done because that 6 interfered with their plans to get the Fed set up. So they sunk the Titanic, drowned the opposition, and in 1913 they got the Federal Reserve, which prints money out of air. So what they had to do immediately thereafter is they had to set up the income tax, never before in the United States. Well, in the Civil War for a little while, but practically speaking, no income tax. They got that because they needed more money to fund the Fed. Remember, it's all make-believe. And they got women to go to work because more women working means more taxing. We also went into World War I. They didn't get everything that they needed done. So they destroyed the world economy in a depression and then came back to World War II, which was really World War I Part 2. Immediately after World War II, they took all the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst that they have been gathering since the Fed and they put them into the U.S. government. And that's what we're battling today. So that there is a direct connection between World War I, World War II, which led to what we have today. Maybe World War III, unfortunately. So I've been following up, and I've been taking 5-year increments, and today we're at 2005 to 2010. America Unravels. We did the 9/11 thing, which virtually every architect and engineer in the world said was fake, phony, forged. It was a setup. What they wanted to do was destroy the U.S. Constitution. If they could do that, they could run roughshod over us. They took a couple of pretty good shots at the Constitution, but they didn't exactly beat it into the ground yet. But 2005 to 2010, we're feeling the effects of that 9/11 scam. America is beginning to unravel. They come up with the Patriot Act. Oh, yeah, we're going to keep you safe. We're going to keep you safe. Bullshit. What they did was they took away many of your constitutional rights. And in fact, Ben Franklin said, if you give up your freedom for safety, you don't deserve either of. And he's right. And we're beginning to understand that. So this Patriot Act, war on terror, was really a war on the USS Constitution. Or not SS, that's a ship, U.S. Constitution. And to kind of fire things up a little bit, they had that dot-com bubble, the housing crisis, 2008. And then, of course, Barack Obama was elected, and he was simply a puppet, as we are seeing now, for the deep state. He did whatever they wanted him to do. Well, of course, so did the Bushes, so did the Clintons. Jimmy Carter, not so much, which is why they got rid of him after one term. But the point of the matter was, the war was on. The war to destroy America. No holds barred. And you look at the astrology, you see that Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto are all in favorable signs to one another. They're in fire and air. Now, you would say, well, geez, that's pretty good, huh? Well, yeah, it keeps things moving, and moving quickly, because we're combining fire signs and air signs, and you put fire and air together, and you got a blaze running. But that's not where it gets real sticky. Where it gets real sticky is the planet Uranus, which was in Pisces. It's a water sign. And it was in very unfavorable relations to Jupiter and Pluto. Yeah. What that does when you get a square is you are seeing the Uranian Jupiter-Pluto situation there force. Global agendas being pushed on us. You notice how you don't have anything to say. They don't put it up for a vote. They don't discuss it. They just do it. And then you have to live with it. Well, that's what came out of this era. 9/11 destroyed or took some serious shots at our Constitution, and then they started to work from there to tear it down brick by brick. 2005 to 2010 showed that they were pushing their worldwide agenda. They were going to do whatever they could to get it done because that was their ultimate goal. Let's go on to the meme of the day. To prove it, to underline it, we have asshole Henry Kissinger. Man lived to 100. I'm not going to say anything because it's going to get me in trouble, but the least I can say, I disrespected the man as much as you could disrespect any human being because he disrespected us. Henry Kissinger said, whoever controls the food supply controls the people, whoever controls the energy controls the whole continents, and whoever controls the money controls the world. And that was their plan. We're talking about 2005 to 2010, pushing a global agenda. There it is. And he said this decades ago, in the 80s. And I have this little meme up here in the left. Nobody rules if nobody obeys. Good highlight of that was what happened in Britain over the past few days, week. Millions of people out in the streets, finally the Brits grabbing their gonads and saying, we're going to stand up for ourselves. Impressive. Bravo. And while we're talking about government and control and destroying our rights as citizens, how about this as an idea? As long as we're cutting medical care for Americans, why don't we get rid of the lifetime health care benefits and pensions for Congress? Back when we started the country, being a congressional person, you only got paid per diem. You weren't working, you didn't get paid. Now it's a red carpet. And the red carpet usually goes to Wall Street, where they make Millions. They come into Congress maybe worth 100, 200,000, maybe 300,000. And 10 years later, they have 30, 40 million dollars. You do the math and figure it out for yourself. Let's do the links for today. This is something I keep coming back to because I still see morons with masks and morons who believe this bullshit. They're going to believe because they're retarded and they can't get it out of their head. But it looks like, according to the Children's Health Defense, a new preprint study presents the first direct evidence that genetic material from the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines can get into the human genome. It can get into our genetics. They've told us that could not be done. Well, if it gets into our genetics, guess what they are making us? Clones. Yeah, graphene oxide. They've looked under a microscope, and one of the main ingredients in the vaccines is something called graphene oxide. It actually starts to assemble parts and pieces. It looks like it's been programmed. Very scary stuff. But it does get into your DNA. So if you've had 2, 3, 4, 5, or more shots, get ready. You're ready for Terminator. And finally, we have here a guy who knows a great deal about this, one of the lead doctors in a new study. He says the Amish are a perfect example of a large group of people who are largely unvaccinated. We can't find the autistic kid who is unvaccinated. In other words, no shot. They still got their brains. They got shots. Well, they're becoming robots, just like I said. And in fact, this doctor wraps up by saying you just don't find any of these chronic diseases in the Amish because they don't put shit in them. You know, garbage in, garbage out. Well, we're turning into cyborgs. So let's go to the tarot. Let's find out about the focus energy for this reading. What do we do? What do we do? We're stuck in the middle. We're not going forward, not going backward. We're not going anywhere because we don't know where the hell we're going. Well, let's start with the Five of Pentacles. See these two people in front of a church. They're cold. They're poorly dressed. It's winter. They're probably hungry. But they walk past the church. Why? Because they feel unworthy. Now, if they went into the church, we can know it's on because we see the pentacles lit up. If they went in there, they could at least sleep on a pew overnight, stay warm. Very good odd. Maybe they'll get a dinner, maybe a breakfast in the morning. But no, I don't deserve it. I'm not worth it. Next card over is the Six of Cups. This is not going back to a past love in the strictest sense. This is an emotional connection from the past. Could be a person, place, thing, idea, whatever. Doesn't make any difference. So the Six of Cups here says it's an emotional lifeline. We got the Five of Pentacles, two people walking past help, feeling unworthy. If they would think about their past, what they had in the past, make that connection, emotional connection to their past, that would be the emotional lifeline they need to move to the next card, the Knight of Wands. Knights always bring gifts. And the Knight of Wands is no exception. The Knight of Wands brings the gift of faith. So from feeling unworthy, look to your past when you had that positive emotional connection. Use that to build your faith to make a better future. Easier said than done. I get that. But again, no sugarcoating. We're not going to be doing the rainbows, unicorn fantasy stuff. You got to quit feeling unworthy, and the way that you do it is go back to the past where you feel that sense of belonging, that sense of connection. Watch what it does to your faith. Cowabunga. Alrighty, so that's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you are here with me virtually every day as far as I know. Time is the one thing you can't buy, so this is an investment, and I take it very seriously. Thanks. Be sure to like and subscribe. There is some nasty stuff that the different formats, different groups are playing with the internet. They're taking people off certain sites. They're closing them down, cutting into subscribers. We need your help. We need your support. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Thank you much. Between now and the next time you and I do this Tao manifesting thing together, peace and blessings.